orden. Ni hao. Buenos dias. Good morning, honorable members, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not sure whether we've been joined by anyone from the executive.
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning. Is the Honorable Honomis in the meeting? Honorable Mukungo?
Molo Sado.
Molo. I see the delegation from DNV. It's led by the acting DG. Let me acknowledge Memafu. Acknowledge all the honorable members.
Good morning, Chair, and good morning to all honorable members and colleagues.
Thank you very much. You're welcome. Good morning also to the staff from the Office of the Auditor-General of South Africa. I'm not sure who will be leading them. The staff from the Parliamentary Support Services, as well as the staff from the Portfolio Committee. Also acknowledge the staff from the Parliamentary Communications and Live Streaming Services. Please kindly be advised that the meeting will be live streamed in other channels of the Parliament. So I wish you all the best, and all of you are welcome to this meeting. I thought I might just show my face after undergoing an eye surgery, but it was successful. I'm just on a treatment now for the next 6 weeks. Let me take this opportunity to welcome all of you. Before I go for the adoption of the agenda, I would request that the Secretariat update the meeting on the apologies. Over to you, Secretariat.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. We've received one apology from the Honourable Minister who's attending the cabinet meeting. Thank you.
Is there anything from the Honourable Deputies?
Both deputies have joined the meeting, Chair.
Both deputies have joined the meeting. Let me officially welcome Honourable Mukungo and Honourable Olomisa. All of you are welcome to the meeting. Before I allow the adoption of the agenda, can we get the mover and the seconder for the adoption of the agenda? Honourable Niaus.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to move for adoption of the agenda. In doing so, I would once again like to raise concern about the absence of the Minister. I understand that there is a problem with the Minister attending Cabinet, and the Cabinet meetings overlap usually with our Portfolio Committee on Defence and Military Veterans. But this is now becoming a very serious problem. The absence of the Minister is far too frequent, and this particular meeting that we have today is of absolutely critical importance. The Department of Military Veterans is in crisis, and the Minister really should have been here. Secondly, Chair, I know we can't deal with this issue today, but I would like to ask that you put it in the records of the minutes of this meeting that there is an outstanding request by myself and other members of this Portfolio Committee that we need to discuss in-house the manner in which we have been given a new whip for this committee, the Honourable Julisi Ngai, and we need to discuss that because there are serious concerns from myself, from the EFF, and I believe also from other members of our Portfolio Committee about that matter. I don't want that to fall between the cracks, so I'm asking you to please note it, that it has to be discussed. I understand that it cannot fit into the context of today's meeting, but it must be noted. With those two comments, Chair, I propose adoption of the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Niaus. Your point is noted. I'm sure the Secretariat will have to find in our program, even virtually, a meeting where we discuss this item. I don't see any difficulty in us discussing this item. I see the end of Honourable Nontenja, followed by the end of Honourable Hala.
I second the adoption of the agenda, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honourable Nontenja. Honourable Hala.
No, I second the agenda, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Then we'll move to the items as tabled before our agenda. The first items will be briefing by the Auditor-General of South Africa, update on the previous findings related to DMV, briefing by... Hello?
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, the next item will be briefing by DMV, progress on addressing AGSA findings, adverse findings. The third one will be progress on report by DMV on consequence management. Then we'll have consideration of minutes. As adopted, I would like to give over now to one of the deputies to introduce the delegation from the executive as well as the delegation from the Auditor General. I'm not sure between the two, what is the caucus of the executive? Over to you.
We will throw a coin, we'll spin. Good morning, Chairperson and honourable members.
Good morning.
That was a very quick spin, Deputy Minister. Too quick for me to believe that you've actually spun that coin.
The Auditor General officials, the departments official from military veterans, honourable members, good morning to all. Once more, please accept the apologies of the Honourable Minister who is unable to attend due to other official commitments. The Minister has requested that my colleague, Honorable Deputy Minister Mkungo, and I represent the Executive Authority in today's engagement. We welcome the meeting and the opportunity to engage on the audit outcomes and related governance matters within the Department of the Military Veterans. The findings of the Auditor General, together with the oversight role of this committee, remain central to strengthening accountability, improving governance, and ensuring the prudent management of the public resources. Chairperson, I believe there is sufficient consensus amongst members of this committee that for 4 to 5 consecutive years, we have not succeeded in reversing the adverse findings raised by the Auditor General. Equally concerning is that many matters reportedly under investigation by law enforcement and oversight agencies, including the National Prosecuting Authority, the Hawks, and the Special Investigative Unit, and the Military Police, appear to yield little visible closure from the public's perspective. Individuals may appear before court, yet the outcomes of these cases are seldom communicated, leaving a perception that accountability remains elusive. Parliament must therefore provide guidance on how we decisively address these matters once and for all. The South African National Defence Force is expected to embody the highest standards of discipline, integrity, and professionalism. When both the Auditor General and the Audit Committee repeatedly raise concerns regarding the department's inability to adequately address audit findings, it compels all of us to act with urgency. It is for this reason that during our engagement with the committee on the 27th of May 2026, I proposed the establishment of an independent defense task team to interrogate these matters comprehensively and provide a clear path towards resolution. Such a mechanism would assist in addressing concerns raised by the public, Parliament, Auditor General, and other stakeholders regarding governance failures, recurring audit findings, and accountability within the Department of Defense Environment. Lastly, as of this morning, at 8 o'clock to be exact, and following the resolutions of the committee of the 27th May this year, I have formally tabled a proposal for the establishment of such an independent defense task team. In doing so, I am fulfilling the responsibility entrusted to me by the Honorable Minister to assist in addressing these audit-related concerns. I am confident that colleagues will carefully consider the proposal and determine an appropriate way forward after studying its contents. Transparency has always been my guiding principle, and I remain committed to that cause in the interest of accountability, good governance, and the protection of the Republic of South Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable DM, for your submission. I don't think and foresee any problem from our side as the Portfolio Committee supporting the independent defense task team. That is part of the remedial actions that you are putting forward as the executive. I don't think from our side we will encroach in your space as the executive to want to correct issues, because our problems are compounding. As early as yesterday, Honorable DMs, we lost a case in the Gauteng High Court related to the database, the benefits of military veterans. We have struggled for 15 years to correct the database. The court has ordered us that within 90 days we should have done everything that we failed to do in 15 years. So I'm sure as part of the independent defense task team, those are some of the things we look at so that we don't undermine the other arms of the state, in particular the judiciary, because myself and you, Honorable DMs, we have taken an oath to uphold the Constitution and respect all the laws of the Republic. So I'm sure we will deal with it immediately, because 90 days, if they count it from now, I'm sure it's less than 12 weeks from now. So we must be careful that we comply with that court order. I'll hand over to the team of the Auditor General to proceed with the presentation. We'll only give you 20 minutes because today I want to give more time to members to engage these reports, because we will be raising issues related to DMV. And I think today, because we are dealing with progress, I would want more time to go to members. Over to you, AG.
Thank you so much, Chair. My name is Michelle Margaman, and good morning to Chair and honourable members. Good morning to the honourable Deputy Ministers, the DG, and the colleagues from DMV. I'm with two colleagues of mine, Tiens Ilok, the Senior Manager in the office responsible for the DMV, who will take you through the presentation. I'm also with Mbali Tsotsetse, the Deputy Business Unit Leader. I'm going to hand over to Tiens just to take us through the presentation. I do note the time that you've just allocated to us. So I'm just going to ask him to go straight into it and not waste time on the first few slides. Tiens is in my office because they have not allowed him into the meeting. I don't know what's happening in the background there, so he'll be using my laptop to do the presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, Honourable Chair, Honourable Members, Deputy Minister and Department. Thanks for this opportunity to present the outcomes or the status of records review for the Department of Military Veterans. I will directly start with the status of records review. This is a review that we perform, it's not an audit, it's a high-level review that we perform on the department to see what's the progress that's made by the department. And it's normally performed before the financial year end of the department. We have certain criteria that we utilize. For example, we will start with oversight. That is a bit of a concern for us. We would like to give more detail. Financial management, it's a concern, but it's stable as in the previous year. Performance management, there needs intervention, but it's stable as reported in the previous year. Procurement and contract management, there is certain items of concern. Compliance management, specifically consequence management, is an issue within the department. HR is a concern for the department. I'll later just highlight some of the aspects. And then, as discussed, the IT environment, the computerized environment of the department. Financial health is an issue for the department. We will also highlight some of the issues. If I then can go to the next slide. The first insights that we have identified is oversight and monitoring. As at 31st March, Honourable Committee members, this was the date of the SOR when we last updated. 63% of all audit actions was implemented by the department. We also have an issue with regard to internal audit. The department's internal audit function was not in place during the financial year. That can place certain restraints on the department, as it is a very important function to support management as well as the accounting officer to ensure that all compliances is in place and the necessary controls are in place. The internal audit committee could also not implement the internal audit function or establish it during the year. The control environment, there's an issue with regard to risk management in the committee. It was not fully in place during the specific year on the reporting. Financial health, this is one of the pressures that the department have, and we have also seen it will link also to the performance indicators, specifically pension benefits. The department didn't have sufficient funding to pay all the pension benefits as required. And for that reason, there will be also under-reporting on that specific indicator. Credibility of performance reporting. We have identified that there is issues in the performance environment. There is issues with regard to making sure that we report accurately on performance information. Similar findings was in the previous year. We also have an issue with regard to what is required of the department in terms of the Military Veterans Act as well as the regulations issued in terms of that. We have identified for this year that two items, the provision of transport and burial support, is not reflecting on indicators of the department. Then we identified certain operational issues. For indicators 306, my apologies, 306 is the number of partnerships, agreements with other departments and entities, as well as 307 is the number of literal history output of the department. For those ones, there's not indicators and the SOPs are not in place. With regard to the other two indicators that we have highlighted there, indicator 305, that's number of economic empowerment programs facilitated for military veterans, 304, and then 305 is number of military veterans provided with access to employment placement opportunities. Although there is standard operating procedures, it was not fully finalized and approved at year end. That is very important because these operating procedures and procedure manuals and technical indicators must guide the department to make sure that we report consistently throughout the department and accurately on these matters. With regard to irregular expenditure, during the interim financial statements that we have reviewed, there was 2.5 million irregular expenditure identified, and it relates directly to pension benefits. Sufficient money was not available for the specific item. Asset management, as in the previous year, we have also had issues with certain assets that's under investigation. Those assets are on the asset register, but the possibility exists that they are no longer in existence. Those assets is 4.9, and that's for major individual assets, and then 309 smaller assets, minor assets. It's also linked to the disposal committee. The committee must be able to evaluate this and then must actually receive training with regard to asset management and the way and processes forward. Then with regard to our database management, integrity of the databases is still a concern. An integrated database management system to manage the benefits provided to military veterans and their beneficiaries are still needs to be implemented. So I think that also relates to the discussion previously. The process of validating beneficiary status, elimination of duplications, and the establishment of a reliable baseline for service delivery is ongoing. There's also allegations of suspected irregularities in the database unit, and that is still under investigation. Then with regard to the pension benefits, there are concerns regarding the delays in the distribution of military veterans' pensions, mainly due to the unavailability of funds. The department at the third quarter of reporting already utilized the allocated budget for pension benefits, and therefore at the third quarter could only pay 4,494 against a target of 6,000. This links to the financial issue with regard to the department not having sufficient funding. Then with regard to housing benefits, there was in the previous year a target of 225. The department have achieved 110. In the current year, and I must mention this is an annual target, so we will only be at the end of the process receiving the annual report, see what's the achievement. But the target was 250 houses or beneficiaries receiving that specific houses. Management have indicated in the previous year that they experienced issues with regard to providing housing. And that's mainly due to availability of suitable sites, lack of electricity, water, sanitation, and various other reasons for not achieving. And it must also be mentioned, this is not a function directly done by the department, but is mostly in the regions. This results in delays of allocating new built houses to our military veterans. Then with regard to consequence management, at the end of January, as I've mentioned, this is just a status of records review, not for the whole period. The department was behind in the procurement plan. It was not on par, and it was mainly due to processes where the end users was actually slowing down the procurement process. With regard to extensions and variations, there is one security contract that was already expired in November last year or 2024, and it is renegotiated month to monthly. That's the issue with regard to procurement and contract management. And it's mainly because disagreements within the department that can be sorted out and must be addressed. This matter was also raised in the previous year. Then with regard to consequence management, investigations is not on par, not in place as required, and it relates to previous year issues also being reported, irregular expenditure cases and fruitless and wasteful cases. The department have re-established a loss and control committee, but they still need training to be in part to do this very important responsibility function of either condoning or take the irregular expenditure forward into consequence management. With regard to fruitless and wasteful expenditure, the last bullet, there is some issues with regard to the fruitless and wasteful concerns due to administrative challenges relating to supporting documentation. If we then have focus on human resource management, our DG or the DG position is still vacant, and there's also a very high rate of vacancies in senior management level. Now, there's two bullet points that we've indicated there. One is with regard to the final approved structure from DPSA, and then also a proposal from National Treasury that certain functions of DMV must be decentralized or must be considered to become a chief directorate within the Department of Defense. So the environment is very mobile or very variable for the department, and that is some of the reasons that we have received that the department can't move forward in appointing positions, and that's actually weakening the internal control position of the department. With regard to information technology, the department continued to use Microsoft Access as the military veterans benefits database, which present risks for the operators as a sheer folder within the integrated system level audit capabilities and criteria. User maintenance of activities such as access and creation, modification, and termination is not always locked or retained. So it's like an audit history trail. You're not always able to see what happened within that specific system. and that can be a challenge for the department. Then also we have had issues and during the status of records review with regard to the disaster recovery plan that was not formally documented and in place yet. We are currently busy with the IT information systems audit and will by the end of the month get an update on these processes. Material irregularity, Honourable Chair, Honourable Members, Deputy Minister, as you all know, there was a reason for material irregularities. We have reported various mismanagement, leakage of public funds, consequence management that was not taking place in the past, and there was an outcry in the public sector to ensure that accountability is taking place within government in total. Because of that, the material irregularity was introduced and forms part of our culture shift 2030 strategy. What we would like to do is through the material irregularity process, and I'm sure the members already have a good understanding. I'll just highlight some of the aspects of the definition of a material irregularity. It's non-compliance or contravention of legislation, fraud, theft, or breach of fiduciary duty identified through an audit. It's a Public Audit Act. It's our audits that resulted or is likely to result in a material financial loss, misuse, or loss of material public resources or sustainable harm to a public sector, institution, or the general public. If the accounting officer is not performing or implementing appropriate acts, additional powers was added to the Auditor-General's responsibilities or act. We can refer the irregularity to investigation bodies. We could recommend further actions to be taken. We could also, at the end tail of the process, if we didn't achieve the proper outcomes, issue a certificate of debt. Now, closer to Department of Military Veterans, there is 3 material irregularities. The first one relates to emergency housing for ineligible military veterans. This happened in 21-22 audit cycle, and if I can summarize the background, there was houses built in Roma City. We talk about 21 military veterans who would have received these houses. There was complaints with regard to the environment, the safety, and the area next to in Roma City. Therefore, the department have arranged emergency housing for them, but the department didn't put in place a proper review process to monitor who is receiving the emerging housing benefits. And it was identified that it's not the members that was allocated to these houses. Some of them were some other military veterans, or the military veterans were actually staying in their houses. The likely impact of financial loss on this was 5.7 million. Now, with regard to this material irregularity, it was referred by the Auditor-General to the Special Investigation Unit. It was through Department of Justice. A motivation for proclamation by the President was requested on 26 November 2024. That's the last progress that we have on this specific investigation. Then with regard to the non-usage of machinery, it's a skills development aspect. It's the pothole machines that the department procured also during the 21-22 financial cycle. There's a description of the pothole machines, and what happened is it was never utilized or implemented. That resulted in a possible financial loss of 27.7 million, and there were also maintenance plans that was paid, as well as a warranty. Now, this was also referred by the AGSA to the Special Investigation Unit, and the department have also a seconded agreement to investigate these pothole machines. That was done in September 2025. I know currently the SIU is busy with that specific investigation. Then with regard to the digital literacy skills program, this is the tablets that everyone know about. This happened also during the 24-25, 23-24 financial year. The tablets was procured for veterans. The department stopped the specific program. That resulted in a value or loss of 46 million. This investigation, or the recommendation, was that the department must investigate the specific aspects, and the department, through a secondment agreement with SIU signed on September 2025, are now in progress of investigating the specific material irregularity. Honourable members, the audit outcome of the previous cycle was presented to the Minister and the Deputy Ministers on 30 September 2025, where we presented our outcomes, our recommendations, and then subsequently we also requested a commitment letter That was also received from the Minister, and she made a commitment for the portfolio. We had a follow-up meeting in March 2026, and the commitments of the Minister is to lead and monitor the implementation of the portfolio action plans to address the following. It's negative audit outcomes and timely effective consequence management, and then also to support the department with filling of vacancies, especially the accounting officer. Honourable Chair, members, this is the presentation. I hand over back to Michelle.
Thank you so much, Jens. Chair, this is our preliminary review as we're continuing with the final audit. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, the Office of the AG. I would not want us to waste time because today we're only dealing with DMV. I would request that DMV come in with the next two presentations for 30 minutes because I want most of the time to go to members' questions because we are dealing with progress. I know some of the things you have presented are repeating themselves, but it's part of the progress that members need to find out how far we with the work of the DMV. Let me hand over to the DMV. I'm not sure whether the executive would want to come in or can we proceed. Over to you, Honourable Deputy Ministers.
From my side, I think the DG can take over to respond to what the AG has tabled.
Thank you very much, Honourable DM. Over to you, DG.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chair, Honourable Members, Honourable Deputy Ministers, Special Advisors to the Minister and colleagues, and I greet you, AGSA. Chair, we are to present a consequence management and status of audit action plan implementation. And I want to declare upfront that it's a combined presentation. Next page, next slide, please. The outline of the presentation, Chair, is purpose of the, it is the status of consequence management, summary action by areas of qualifications, detailed action plan presentation. That is what we'll be presenting today. Next slide, please. The purpose of this presentation is to provide a briefing on the progress made by the department in the implementation of consequence management and execution of the audit action plan for 2024-25 financial year. Chair, the current matters that we would want to share with the committee are that there are three ongoing labor matters, and the process is at the advanced stage. Just to indicate to these matters for the benefit of members, one is an official who is working within the database environment, and he stands accused of interfering with a database in terms of including non-military veterans. We then took precautionary suspension on the official, and then the case is almost towards the end. The second one is an SMS member who has created or led the department to an irregular expenditure of above 8 million. And it's around the matter of burial support, in that the threshold of 25,000 was increased to 40,000 without amending the regulations, resulting to exhaustion of the budget at that point in time. But I must indicate, Chair, that the official consent is undergoing disciplinary processes, but we have since amended the regulations, and the process is advanced so that we are in line with the 40,000 which is being implemented currently. The third case, Chair, is that of an official within the supply chain who is charged for a gross insubordination and dereliction of duty, and that case also is towards the tail end, and we are hopeful that sooner than later we would have concluded those cases. I must also indicate that what happens, we appoint an independent presiding officers and initiators so that the process of disciplinary process is actually independent and is transparent and is also not influenced by the internal processes in terms of individuals. Other labor matters which might be linked to what is raised by AG in terms of MI, those cases were followed to the latter, and the officials concerned were dismissed. And then on historical matters, that would include irregular expenditure, fruitless, wasteful, and assets under investigation. Those processes ultimately will lead to consequence management, but as we stand, we have established a loss control committee, and they were trained by National Treasury. The committee is hard at work as we speak, and we are hopeful that by December 31st December 2026, we would have concluded the issues around the irregular expenditure as a result of lost assets. Chair, I would want to talk to the issue of matters that, because our investigation could not go beyond a certain point, that we have signed as an agreement with SIU, as alluded by AGSA, and to investigate specifically the procurement of 10,000 tablets, the procurement of 90 roller drums pothole machines, provision of ICT training to military veterans and their dependents through CETA, procurement of the MK Unity Conference in terms of venue and other logistical arrangements that was held in East London, and also the Microsoft license, among other matters. But I do want to indicate, Chair, that with Microsoft licenses, we were expected as a department to pay 21 million. And because we could not establish usage of the licenses themselves, we then negotiated with Microsoft to allow a write-off. The original take from Microsoft was to write off for 2 years, because that 21 million was around a 3-year process. But we pushed back up to Microsoft agreeing to write off the whole 21 million. And with that, Chair, I will then hand over to CFO to present on the audit action plan. With your permission, Chair, I would want to invite a CFO.
Permission granted.
Thank you, Chair. Over to you, CFO. You might be muted, CFO.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honorable members. Good morning, deputy ministers, colleagues on the platform. Thank you so much, ADG. I think, Chair, in the interest of time, some of the matters would have been presented through AGSA, and some of the matters through the accounting officer. Probably for me is to then re-emphasize the action that is being done by the department in terms of addressing issues raised by the Auditor-General. In summary, yes, we concur with AGSA. The status of the progress reported is correct. It's presently sitting at 63% as per our analysis, Chair, of which from the 54 audit findings raised by AGSA, 34 of those issues have been fully addressed as per management, whereas 20 of those items are still in progress. However, Chair, I must indicate that we now have appointed a service provider, given the challenges that the DMV has through DPSA in terms of then being able to fill all vacant posts. Also including the challenges that we have in terms of the whole organogram of the department, which is not in line with the generic organogram of government. So internal audit now is assisting us with validations. The 63% may be found to be over or underreported. At the same time, we as management, when we were then compiling the annual financial statements as well as the performance reporting information, we did try to then also address some of the other issues that were previously raised by Auditor-General. So all in all, Chair, the progress is presently at 63%, but unvalidated. Internal audit will validate, then we will then interact the validation score to the Executive Authority, AGSA, as well as to the Portfolio Committee for oversight. I must also state that, Chair, from this table, you will see the progress by each specific areas, Chair. You will see that finance was at 80%, with 2 items not concluded. One of them being one of the matter that was then referred to the SIU, and the other matter being an issue that we cannot self-correct because it's based on the organogram of the department. Probably from the governance side, Chair and honorable members, if you look at the Office of the Director General, which is ODG, there is 3 items there. Those items are mainly related to what AG has raised around consequence management on investigating fruitless expenditure, where investigation had not started, around irregular expenditure, where then they had identified that there was no movement in addressing that issue related to the burial regulations, which was misaligned to the policy, as well as then the general historical irregular expenditure. I must also report, Chair, on the historical irregular expenditure. There was a good exercise done through an MOU with the Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation. So now that we have re-established the Loss Control Committee, we will then fast-track that process because the determination processes were done. It was a matter of concluding then on those cases where consequence management would have been implemented, were recommended, or then we will then engage with National Treasury to obtain condonements. Probably the other area of emphasis is under it's this abbreviation called IA and RM, which is internal audits and risk management. As already reported by AGSA, 3 issues there remain unresolved. Amongst others is the issue of the assessment of the internal audit function, which should on a prescribed time interval receive external assessment or evaluation in terms of performance. The other area is the capacity of internal audit, which is actually not there. It is non-Chair. It's due to the current organogram. Probably those are the areas of emphasis, Chair, in terms of this slide. But probably the last bullet point is just a matter of emphasis, Chair. I'm glad that AG has also commented to say, due to the inability of management to fill critical vacant posts, it compromises the ability of the department to strengthen its governance and internal controls. For instance, we are unable to then fill vacant posts, including the vacant posts within the internal audit units, legal services, risk management. We don't have a director or the head of human resources management, Chair. So parts of the hindrances are there. I will skip this slide, Chair. It's just a demonstration on the graphical format of the above information, Chair. And probably just to zoom in quickly on this slide, it's just a breakdown in terms of the completion status. If we look on the right, it will indicate for each of the items raised by AG, whether it's fully completed, which will be 100%, or almost completed at 80, etc., etc. So basically, that was the purpose of having this slide, Chair. In summary, Chair, we would like to confirm in terms of the historical ZIL matter, the matter is now concluded, Chair. There was a judgment from the Concord handed on the 27th of May. Previously, we had this causing a material misstatement in our financial statements. That was due to the fact that we were advised by the state law attorney to disclose the full amount of 198 million as a contingency liability. However, the state attorney, when they were confirming with AGSA, they used the recent court judgment at that time, which was 15.7. However, DMV then corrected by restating the amount through a factual finding. However, this time around, we have properly disclosed. The current contingency liability is around 12.5 million, Chair, and that is based on the Concord finding. So we hope we won't have that issue going forward. There are key outstanding matters, as AGSA has indicated. Amongst others is the current unverifiable movable capital assets. The DG has indicated we have established 2 critical committees. There is a disposal committee which deals directly with asset management. Then you have the other committee, which is loss control committee, which then oversees any loss-related matter within the department. And it's through these committees that then we will all items related to asset management. Also, then all items related to irregular and fruitless and wasteful expenditure, Chair. I must also confirm we have received, both committees have received training at National Treasury. There is a model and an instruction notes, which then instructs all government departments how to handle irregular expenditure as well as fruitless and wasteful expenditure. We all have been trained on that framework, and now we are ready to then engage on the exercise. However, as indicated, there are these other matters that have been referred to the SIU due to the department not having that skill and capacity. However, those we will monitor through the current secondment agreement. We had our follow-up meeting last month. There is a progress report provided to the department. We have shared that progress report to AGSA. However, we have then emphasized the importance of the for the SIU to expedite those investigations so that these matters can be put to rest, Chair. Probably the other point of emphasis is around the strengthening of internal controls and governance. Presently, Chair, as already indicated, we are not allowed to fill the critical posts, including those responsible for governance. Those include internal audit, risk management, and legal services. However, we believe that the transversal ministerial task team will help the department to fast track the engagement with the BSA and National Treasury so that the service delivery model is concluded, as well as then that will inform the approved organogram that the department should implement. Internally, Chair and members, we have identified a committee that will be responsible for job evaluation, because every single post must be job evaluated so that then it is properly pitched at the right level. So internally, the officials are now undergoing training through a National School of Government so that then they are ready if should then the organogram be approved by Minister as well as the Minister of Public Service and Administration, so that we are ready to then fast track the process. The ZIL matter I have spoken about, as well as the matters referred to SIU, we will closely monitor those issues, Chair. Chair, I don't know, with your permission, we did attach the detailed audit action plan. I would then assume, Chair, through the questions and answers, then we'll be able to relate to specific matters that is covered on the detailed audit action plan. Maybe in passing, Chair, yes, we do note the current challenges with the database management system, which is part of information technology. We will continue to work with SITA in fast-tracking the process of automation, Chair. There is a project in place, though now it is delayed. We remain hopeful that we will report progress when we come to report Q1, Chair, in terms of where we're at with the development of that process, Chair. I think through you, DG, that will be all that I would like to present at this stage. Thank you.
Thank you, CFO. Over back to you, Chair. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Yes, thank you. I'm not sure that in your presentation you've also covered the progress report by DMV in terms of consequence management, looked by the AGSA related to fruitless, irregular, and wasteful expenditure. Acting DG.
Chair, we have, it is the presentation that I made before CFO took the audit action plan. Thank you.
Okay.
Or maybe, Chair,
Yes.
maybe, Chair, just to reiterate, Chair.
Okay.
Maybe let us be honest with the portfolio committee in that aspect. What we would like to then present, Chair, I think we have spoken about it, but we did not give you the numbers. Presently, Chair, on irregular expenditure, we have just over 300 million, roughly, Chair. I will then confirm that number on the current annual financial statements. Of this 300 million, sorry, Chair, majority of these items, in terms of numbers, are items related to historical years, Chair, starting from 2013, 14, 15, etc. But in terms of value, Chair and honorable members, it's now a 50-50 split in terms of transactions that took place between 2021, 2022, and 2023, mainly along those main areas that have now been referred to the SIU. And hence, we are confident now that with the Loss Control Committee, we now have capacity to fast track all the historical matters, Chair, so that those are concluded by 31st of December. While then we also monitor the SIU in terms of the SI secondment agreement, as well as they have indicated to us that some of these items then may require a proclamation. And that they said they are now working with the Department of Justice in order to obtain a proclamation. Because with a proclamation, it will give them powers to fully go deep into the matters. Through the secondment agreement, it may limit them because they will only give an overview, but they may not be able then to start subpoenaing those identified individuals. So probably, Chair, it is also prudent that we also disclose, Chair, there is AG confirmed that we are pressed in terms of the demand on military veterans pension. In the previous year, we ended up making a virement above the 8% threshold in contravention to Section 43 of the PMFA. That 3.5 was declared irregular in the spirit of openness and good governance. In this financial year, Chair, we were faced with a dilemma where we were unable to pay pension for February and March. We then consulted Treasury, but Treasury said, no, it's late for them to facilitate through the parliamentary processes. However, then internally, we then made a conscious decision trying to protect the reputation of the department for it not being able to pay the pension for February and March while returning funds to National Treasury. We then exceeded the threshold by 34 million. And that 34 million is also now added onto, it's part of the 301 million accumulated irregular expenditure, Chair. I thought I should then just be open and give specific details of what is in there. In relation to fruitless and wasteful expenditure, Chair, AG has indicated that there may be administrative challenges. We are still assessing the extent of the administrative challenges. That is because some of the documents would have been flooded in the department or shredded. We are still making a determination of how those documents would have gone missing, Chair. However, fruitless expenditure is different from irregular expenditure in the sense that condonement does not need to come from National Treasury. It's got its own process, which is delegated internally to the accounting officer. However, we need to still assess it so that we don't make a global write-off or removal, but we treat each case individually so that there is openness and completeness when we get audited by AG. Probably, Chair, I thought I should then just add that bit of detail just to give clarity and comfort, Chair. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, DMV, for your presentation. I will now hand over to members. If we can try to speak within 3 or 4 minutes so that we give each other a chance. I know there are a lot of things related to DMV, and it is clear from the AG submission that there's still a lot of work to be done. We have not yet accounted for 5.7 million of houses, 27 million project of photos, 46 million run project of tablets, all of these particular items, including now recently yesterday is a court order which says we must have done all these things in 90 days, which I'm sure the executive, after reading the court order, will bring a turnaround time or strategy in terms of responding to the court. I've seen the hand of Honorable Nyaus, followed by Honorable Munyai, Honorable Hatton, Honorable Montenjo, Honorable Hala, and Honorable Kubekile in that order. Honorable Kubekule, yes, Honorable Nyaus, over to you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and let me thank the Department of Military Veterans for their response, and also thank the Auditor-General's Office for the extensive input that they've given us on the terrible state that the Department of Military Veterans is in. Before I make my comments and ask my questions, Chair, let me express my appreciation to Deputy Minister Bantu Holomisa for the actions that he had taken with regards to the Independent Defence Task Team. This is long overdue. I also want to express my pleasure, Chair, that you responded in the positive way that you did to this initiative from Major General retired Bantu Holomisa. This is refreshing because last week when we had the Portfolio Committee on Defence and Military Veterans and the Honourable Munai was acting as chair, he did not seem to be as enthusiastic about the Independent Defence Task Team as you were this morning. Evidently, Chair, from the presentation of the Auditor-General, it is clear that this task team is required. And at the end of my input, I'm going to refer to issues that I believe that the task team should pay attention to, and issues that I have over the last couple of years through detailed letters brought to the attention of the Minister of Defence and also this Portfolio Committee on Defence and Military Veterans, and to which there were never adequate responses. Chair, the Auditor-General's briefing, when I read it together also with the excellent analysis of the Parliamentary Research Unit, shows a department in deep and in accelerating crisis. Only 63% of prior year audit action plans have been implemented, and 4 critical areas require urgent intervention to prevent further audit failure, and overall, the financial health of the Department of Military Veterans has regressed. The human cost falls directly on military veterans who continue to wait for benefits they are legally entitled to. Chair, I've worked out a detailed presentation on the core crisis findings that we find in the AGSA's report. I'm not going to go into those core crisis findings because you've asked us to be short and given us a limited amount of time to engage with you. But after this meeting, I will send to the administration of our Portfolio Committee my detailed report about all of these issues. Let me just highlight, Chair, some of the most important issues that I must be concerned about, and that is the lack of proper housing that is being provided, and what the AG also referred to in terms of the housing payments to ineligible beneficiaries in the Rama City scandal. There's also the issue of the pothole machines that were procured and the unused tablets. These represent not only financial loss, but a direct betrayal of veterans. Then, of course, Chair, there's the recent judicial intervention, which you have referred to, when on the 11th of May, just a couple of days ago, Judge Kubisi in the High Court ordered the Department of Military Veterans to register qualifying veterans on the national database and process healthcare benefits within 90 working days of the application, and to reconstitute the appeals board within the same time frame. Now, Chair, this order highlights the crisis that we have highlighted for many years now about the Military Veterans Database and Verification Committee. And this is a severe judicial indictment on systemic failure. Chair, I have a couple of questions that I want to ask. Then I'm going to make some recommendations on what I believe our Portfolio Committee should do in the face of this serious crisis that the DMV is in. And then I'm going to return to the issue of the Independent Defence Task Team and refer to some of the documentation that I have in the past brought to the attention of this Portfolio Committee and the Department of Military Veterans through the Minister of Defence and Military Veterans. My first question is, why has the Audit Action Plan implementation reached only 63%, with absolutely zero progress in 4 of the most important high concern areas and actually regression in financial health? What detailed time-bound plan has the Acting Director General put in place since this very serious finding and ruling by the High Court on the 11th of May in order to meet the 90 working day timelines for database registration and healthcare processing? What is the current status of the 3 material irregularities that count up to 82.6 million rand referred to the SIU, especially the unused tablet scandal? And why has consequence management remained so pathetically weak? Why do the critical vacancies, and it cannot just be with regards to the organogram of the Department of Military Veterans, they can't just write it off like that. Why do critical vacancies like the Director General and 10 senior management posts persisting not being filled? And Jay, when will a fully functional internal audit and risk management committee be established? And also, we need to get more detail about this perpetually ongoing investigation into allegations of irregularities in the database unit. And I want to ask, do you accept that the database verification and cleansing process have failed so badly that those responsible, especially in the light also of the court ruling of the High Court, including the head of that database verification committee, retired Major General Mushwala, should immediately be removed pending a full investigation? Why has it taken more than a year to investigate 5 million rand in major assets and 690,000 rand in minor assets? So, Chair, I've got further questions that I wanted to ask. I will also present those questions in writing through our administration to the department. Let me turn to what I believe we as a Portfolio Committee must do now. The Portfolio Committee really has to move from receiving reports to directing outcomes. We must demand that within 7 days, we receive a written compliance plan, a comprehensive written compliance plan from the DMV on the High Court order, with clear milestones and bi-weekly progress reports to the committee on how they're going to reach that deadline after, as you said, Chair, almost 2 decades has expired where we've not achieved that objective. We must recommend a full independent forensic investigation or SIU proclamation expansion into all material irregularities, the database on asset management and related procurement failures. We must urgently summon the Minister, the National Treasury and the DPSA for a joint briefing on the proposed structural changes, and they must now be able to present to us the final organogram. And we must fully support and help to advance the independent defense task team that has been proposed by Major General Bantu Holomisa. Chair, let me now turn to the issues that I believe that this committee should have paid attention to, but had not done so, and therefore we have been in dereliction of duty. I wrote a letter on the 14th of May 2025, 16 pages long, raising my concerns about the Nexus report and the implications of that report for the department and also for the Acting Director General of Military Veterans. There was very little response to it. I then proceeded to write another letter on the 23rd of September 2025, raising my concerns again. And I detailed all the issues that ought to be taken into consideration. Now, subsequently, Chair, there has been progress, but not from us, from the National Prosecuting Authority and also from the investigators through the Hawks. They are now proceeding with a proper investigation, and they are dealing with a very serious issue where one of the key whistleblowers, and I'm not going to mention that whistleblower's name for the sake of protecting her, but she is now under a full key witness protection program because she has been threatened. And she was a former director internal audit on the 300 million case that relates to the Nexus report. Her protection relates directly to her role as a central witness and to those threats that have been issued against her. That report and this investigation that is now proceeding implicated senior officials, including the acting DG, Ms. Nomtubeko Mafu, Sibu Bongizeni Ndlovu, and Sikle Ndlungwana, and others in irregularities, as I've said, involving approximately 300 million rand. Chair, we also have an investigation into a certain Captain Ngongwana, who allegedly had an undeclared conflict of interest involving bursaries from the DMV, and that he failed to pursue criminal charges recommended in the Nexus report, where the complaints had been laid with him. All of these issues, Chair, have been detailed in the letters that I've presented, and I go specifically into this detail because last week on Wednesday in the Portfolio Committee on Defense and Military Veterans, the Honorable Munai challenged me that when I make allegations, I should back them up with detail. I then said to him that I, on a consistent basis, have been providing this Portfolio Committee with detailed information about the concerns that we as the economic freedom fighters have. Those concerns, sadly, Chair, have not been properly addressed. Now this matter that I've just referred to is under investigation through the Hawks and through an inspecting judge for the DPCI, Mr. Justice Molesela Francis Lehodi, and this is now under in-depth investigation after many, many years of delay and lack of action. This is exactly the kind of problems that the Department of Military Veterans has allowed to fester and to perpetuate. Lastly, Chair, I would like to find out what exactly is actually going on with regards to the pothole machine, because it is my information that the Acting Director General wrote, and let me just see clearly what the date was. I believe it was the 7th of October 2024 to the South African Police Services in Vereniging for the attention of a certain Colonel Rousseau, asking whether the pothole machines are available for use since it is part of an investigation. Subsequently, 7 days later, on the 7th of October 2024, Lieutenant Colonel H.J.M. Rousseau responded back and informed the Acting Director General that based on the decision made by the NPA, the pothole machines are made available for your use. Now, I may have heard wrongly, Chair, but from the presentations that we received today, I remain with the impression that those pothole machines have not been put at use And there's evidently from the response of Lieutenant Colonel Rousseau no impediment on the Department of Military Veterans to do so. Chair, we cannot allow all of this to continue. We certainly cannot allow the consequences that this kind of mismanagement, irregularity, and simply corrupt criminality has on the lives of military veterans, many of them because of the lack of pensions being allocated, because of the disaster that the database is in, also because of the problems that we are faced with now, that there's apparently not even enough money to pay the allocated persons on the database who are entitled to those pensions. Some of them have passed on. Some of their families have been destroyed. Some of them, as we sit here today and talk to each other, are not able to receive the necessary health care that they are entitled to in terms of the Military Veterans Act of 2011. It is now necessary for us, I conclude, Chair, to take urgent action along the lines of what I have proposed. And I hope that the Independent Defence Task Team that Major General Retired Holomisa is proposing, and which he says he formally today put in writing as a demand that it must be established, will be able to take all of these issues into consideration. I will certainly again make available those letters that I've just referred to and all other information that I have from whistleblowers to that Defence Task Team. As I conclude, Chair, I will now post on the WhatsApp group. Okay, I'm concluding. I will post on the WhatsApp group of our defence and military veterans. Again, a reminder to our members of those letters that I've sent, and also these letters that the Acting Director General sent to the police in Vereeniging and their reply, so that they can see that this information is based on hard fact. I thank you for the opportunity to raise these issues. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. In that order, Honorable Munyai.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Firstly, it is very important to welcome the report from the AGSA and the finding that they've made, which requires practical and urgent intervention. And I think in our previous engagement, we requested that the department must be able to bring what we call audit action plan, which is time-bound, to demonstrate that they're resolving all those findings, including material findings, by the AGSA. We also welcome that on areas of suspected corruption or irregularities, there's a process to get the Commander-in-Chief, the President, to sign a proclamation such that SIU can proceed with the investigation within the department. That we welcome. And I'm sure, Chairperson, how we resolve the audit issues, how we deal with the audit findings, and I'm sure even the Deputy Minister is aware, it's not to, as raised this before, that in the context of the doctrine of separation of power, the executive should not encroach on the legislative authority or legislative terrain. Otherwise, that will be that will be regarded as an overreach or on the other arm of the state. So therefore, it will be our call. The minister, the executive deputy minister, and the general have to deal with the matters within the purview of the executive, other than being prescriptive to legislature to say, Parliament, I want you to do the following. This is what I recommend you do. No, allow Parliament to exercise its own authority without undue process or overreach or intruding on the other arm of the state. On the issues of the call that is being made by Honorable Niehaus, calling for General Mashoala to be removed, I don't agree with that view, because you can't just call for removal of a general with no substantial issue. The key issue, therefore, the removal and the appointment of the general, it has not been done through the legislative arm. It has been done through the executive authority. The key issue, Chairperson, I will caution that members, for instance, if we're applying for qualification and you could not pass the test of being a veteran under General Mashoala, you cannot bring that battle before the portfolio committee. That is my submission. Last issue, other issue, Honorable Chairperson, and I'm sure I'll be able to speak 27 minutes like the previous speaker. Other issue, Honorable Chairperson, the issue of the software, the so-called Microsoft software that worth over 25 million and so. I want the department to clarify what specific software.
Chair, I've raised my hand on point of order.
Yeah. What specific software
Chair, I've
Chairperson,
raised my hand on a point of order.
these are frivolous point of order to disrupt progress.
Chair,
Honorable
is
Chairperson.
Honorable Munai now chairing
Honorable
and ruling on frivolous points of order even before he heard the point of order?
No, stop disrupting me. Kalnia has
Can I come in?
minutes.
Can I come in?
On what rule is it?
Honorable members. Yeah, no. Let's not reduce the meeting into that level. Can we just be patient to each other? Can we fully respect each other as honorable members? Because it does not help to call each other honorable when we fight recklessly like laymen. It's not going to help us. I think it can only be honorable if we allow and respect each other, even if we differ on views and anything. I'm not sure, Honorable Niels, what was the point of order?
Thank you, Chair. And thanks for asserting your position as Chair and not to be elbowed out of the way by the Honorable Munai. Chair, I raise on a point of order that no member of Parliament should mislead a committee of Parliament or Parliament. Two issues that have been raised by the Honorable Munai is misleading. First of all, he said I spoke for 27 minutes. That is not correct. I've got the timing here of exactly how long I spoke, and it was well under 20 minutes. Secondly, I have not introduced any issue about myself or any other member of the military veterans of Umkhonto we Sizwe having been excluded by the former retired Major General Mushwala. I've not referred to anything like that. I've referred to a court ruling on the 11th of May that is damning about the actions that had been taken up to now by the Committee on the verification of the database for military veterans and the cleansing of that database. And on that basis, I made a recommendation. The Honorable Munai may agree or disagree about that, Chair, but he must not misrepresent me about the reasons that I've advanced for that proposal, which I think is well considered, and he must not misrepresent and mislead this committee about the length that I spoke this morning. I will not take kindly to us being misled by the Honorable Munai. And that's my point of order. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Niels. I think, Honorable members, I will have to remind you of my introductory remarks after you, as members of the Portfolio Committee, elected me on the 10th of July 2024 to lead the Portfolio Committee. I would repeat what I said on that day, just for the record of this meeting, that we agree fully that we are different political parties in the arena and the outcome of our democratic process of elections in 2024. But our Portfolio Committee is one of the most sensitive portfolio committees out of the rest of portfolio committees of Parliament because we deal with national security. National security leaves no royalty, no class, no rich or poor, no race, no religion. Once the enemy attacks any one of us will be vulnerable. And that's the understanding that we must have as all political parties and members of this portfolio committee. Fighting, jostling, it will not assist us because we deal with the most sensitive things of national security. And currently, given the global geopolitics, we are supposed to be the portfolio committee that is leading in terms of patriotism, in terms of common purpose, in terms of national interest, because we are responsible to protect over 63 million South Africans, all of them who are ratepayers and taxpayers. So when we fight like SA, it's not tomorrow like that, it's not going to assist us. So I would request that we be patient to each other, we appreciate each other's contribution, we work towards building common patriotism, because as we are here, we are soldiers. We are supposed to be leading, because we are leading the first line of defense and the last line of defense as persons of interest in our capacity as members of this portfolio. So fighting, jostling is not going to assist us. And I would request that members stick to their point of discussion. Let's not answer each other. Let's not relegate each other to something that we are not. Let's not cast suspicions against each other on matters that we're raising. Let's just stick to our point so that we can make an input towards the contribution of the nation. Yeah, we're above party politics. We're dealing with national security. We're all generals here. We are persons of interest. Whatever we say here, whatever we do, can be detrimental to our national cause as a nation, not as a party. So we're begging you, honorable members, please. I would allow you, Honorable Munyao, to finish your point. I'll deal with this matter in our separate meetings, where we still have to discuss the matter of the week when we deal with matters related to that point. But for now, you can proceed, Honorable Munyao.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I must say that your leadership and authority is not under question. But there's something that came out very clearly, that for the past 5 of the 27 minutes, my name has been a subject of persistent attack. It is very clear from the onset that Honorable House has been weaponized to attack me systematically. No, Chair, let me clarify my view.
Can we deal with that matter in committee meeting? That's what I'm just requesting.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah,
okay, let me focus on the.
Please,
Okay,
let's go.
let me focus on the issues at hand.
Okay.
One, there was issues that said to be written of system software license of Microsoft. I want to know what specific software license from Microsoft that the presenter or the acting DG would have said it costed over 25 million. Second thing, I welcome the intervention in attempt to to advance promotion to make sure that there's investigation on all areas of alleged corruption and so forth and so on. That we propagate as the ANC, clean and good governance. So therefore, we welcome that intervention. Remember, Chairperson, the interests of the veterans are at the very center to receive their benefits, pension benefits, medical benefits, all forms of benefits, because we don't want the issue of the database have to be concluded as practical and urgent as possible. This matter, we've raised it. It did not have to wait for the court because only a credible, cleaned, or consolidated database can enable the military veterans to get their benefits. Because standing from where I am, Honorable Chair, I propagate for the biasness on the interests and the benefits of the hard-won veterans through the liberation of this country. So therefore, their benefits can no longer be delayed. As practical and urgent as possible, we will have to see a credible list, verification list that will enable them to access their benefits. Number three, Chairperson, the issue of the money that has not been accounted for. There have to be consequence management. And I'm happy the AGSA has made an effort to make sure that SIU is brought along on board. The other issue, Chairperson, that I raised earlier before I got disrupted was the issue of the audit action plan, and which we have resolved, by the way. We want to see progress. We want to see, Deputy Minister, we want to see the concerted effort that makes sure that all these material findings or the finding by the AGSA are being resolved within a clear timeline. And that audit action plan and its progress have to be shared with the portfolio committee at agreed time in our previous meeting, as per our previous meeting. Honorable Chair, there was also the presidential report on the question of the military veterans, and its recommendation are not yet fully implemented. So I would appreciate if that could be taken into consideration. The issue of filling of the critical vacant post. We welcome the minister has demonstrated through her appointment of the Secretary of Defense, and I have no doubt, Honorable Chair, that also here the critical vacant funded post will be filled as practical and urgent as possible. And accordingly, the portfolio committee, I recommend that we must be updated on the progress of filling the critical funded vacant post. And I have no doubt the honorable minister, capable minister, will fulfill that obligation as practical and urgent as possible. Honorable Chair, the issue of the Department of Military Veterans with regard to financial performance and also management performance systems have to be strengthened. Internal control system, Honorable Chair, have to be strengthened so that the management of the public purse, which is supposed to support the military veterans, such that there's no abuse or there's no any other factors that undermine the public resources, which is supposed to be used with a high care and diligence as required. Honorable Chair, one critical issue that I must say that it have to be attended. You could see the declaration by the previous speaker who says, to be honest, the state of financial affairs is as follows. State of the financial affairs, expenditure, everything is as follows. Where the money has not been spent for the public good, there have to be consequence management. The consequence management that we have received the report, it's a progress, but it's not sufficient enough. We want to see more people who were involved in wrongdoing have to be attended to. And the kind of the audit outcome, it can't be business as usual. It can't be carried over. We need to adhere to the commitment of clean, good governance, which means, by the way, I must welcome the Deputy Minister as the champion of the audit focus, audit program of the department. That has done a lot of work. Why we're saying that? Because we're seeing the results, General Deputy Minister, of the audit focus, which seeks to resolve all the issues, which seeks to focus on consequence management. Both deputy ministers, I think I appreciate your collective efforts. So therefore, Honorable Chair, I will appreciate that in the next meeting, not in the next meeting, at the appropriate date, we must make sure that we sit on our own and see how do we get to ensure that without encroaching on the areas of the executive, that as a legislature and portfolio committee, how do we support the progress within the prescript of the law? And finally, I don't agree with the view that the portfolio committee must establish a special committee to look into these issues because the executive knows what to do. Ours is to scrutinize their budget cycle expenditure. Ours is to make sure that we conduct robust oversight without fear or favor, such that the executive must account on the mechanism and the agreed oversight sector model, which has been agreed across Parliament. So that oversight sector model, which have the necessary tools and the metrics to demonstrate to us how do you hold executive accountable, has been prescribed. So we can't just create just a panel or team at ourselves. Let the executive do their work to make sure that those that they've appointed do their work. If they don't do their work, they have to apply consequence management. If there's no performance for those that are deployed, you have to address that as executive. And also on our side, we will hold you accountable to ensure that you make sure that there's performance in the department, there's accountability on the public resources. I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Munyai. I thought by 12:30 we'll be done to allow members who are traveling buses to come to Parliament because we have a three-line week at 2 o'clock where the President will be replying to issues raised by all the parties. So I see 12 is going to hit us before even we finish the meeting. So I request that members please, sparingly, I don't want to force you, cajole or muzzle you. Just on one point, Honorable Munyai, because I made that comment after the presentation by the DM that will not encroach or stand on the way of the executive to bring proposals to us. The executive proposed that there be an independent defense trustee, which, as the chair, it was announced by the DM who said is representing the minister. So if the DM reports something to us as the portfolio committee, which is progressive and complementary to our work, we must appreciate it. That's what we simply did. And we did not impose any committee. It was announced to us and we said we welcome it. And I think that's the understanding. So I would not want us to leave with an understanding that this independent defense trustee was imposed by the portfolio committee to the executive, whereas the executive announced to us as the legislative arm that in pursuance of our work in terms of accountability and oversight, this is what we are bringing to strengthen the work that we are doing of oversight from the side of the executive. I think it's incumbent upon us to welcome it and to bring some commissions of inquiry or court cases and so on. This is a good initiative, and I think it's incumbent upon us to welcome it. Let me also introduce Honorable Audit.
Thank you, Chair. I'm afraid that we are not going to meet the timelines as you set out, 2 o'clock, etc. We've already had the two speakers. One spoke 19 minutes and 2 seconds, and then about another 2 minutes, and the other one 16 and a half minutes. So that is a standard that you have allowed to be set today. Chair, today's discussion is not about audit opinion. It's really also not about what the AG has presented. I would like to thank the AG, and I would like to thank the AG for the progress made. And I think the only progress, I'll come to that a bit later, that we've seen that's been reported at this meeting are the pursuance of the material irregularities as well as the court case. I think that is progress. Chair, we sit here again today as last year, and despite years of our oversight, of the previous committee's oversight, repeated assurances from the ministers, the turnaround plans, task teams, audit findings, same failures continue to appear year after year, and we don't receive answers. And likewise, our veterans do not receive answers from a dysfunctional call center, don't get responses to the emails. And year after year, we hear the same thing about interventions, about promises, about plans. And then what happened of those plans? The AG tells us 63% of corrective actions have been implemented. The financial health of the department has regressed seriously. Critical governance structures remain incomplete. The DG post has been vacant for more than 3 years. And Chair, you will recall when we visited on oversight the department, we had some input from members of the Internal Audit Committee. Yet, years later, the internal audit and risk management functions operational. At that stage, we heard that we had personnel being paid to do internal auditing, yet external auditors were contracted by the acting DG to do the internal audit function. So the situation has deteriorated to the point where military veterans have had to approach the High Court to force the minister and the department to comply with its legal obligations. And the department and the minister was not taken to court by an unhappy veteran. It was taken to court by the Council of Military Veterans Organizations of South Africa, an umbrella body representing approximately 32 veterans organizations. After they've tried for years to persuade the minister and the department to comply with its legal obligations. We have to congratulate the CMVO, the council, for bringing that court case and to succeed with it, compelling the department and the minister now to respond within 90 days. They've achieved something that this committee, its predecessor parliament, could not have achieved in years. To compel the minister to do something within a time period and to compel the department to do something for the veterans of South Africa within a time period. We have to hats off to the Council of Military Veterans of South Africa with their achievement. We really have to applaud them. So, Chair, we have moved beyond poor administration and into an area of substantial harm to our veterans. And we need more than explanations. We now need evidence of delivery, evidence of accountability, and evidence that someone is being held responsible when veterans are being harmed in the way that they are being done. But Chair, let me first go to the situation of the acting DG. When we arrived here, we were told that there's an acting DG and that there's a process ongoing to fill the Director-General positions. And also several senior management positions within the department that has been remained vacant for a long time. So and now here we sit with a situation where, according to evidence, the acting DG failed to properly run the department, to properly manage the department, to implement corrective measures, and to implement consequence management. It hasn't done. So for 3 years, we have had an acting DG. But the public service regulations provide that acting appointments to the head of departments should not exceed 12 months, and that the executive authority, the minister, must provide reasons and obtain necessary approvals motivated for any extensions. We have not seen that. We just continue on with business as usual. So I would like, and sadly, whenever we ask this question, the minister is absent, repeatedly so. So, but I would like then that it be recorded, unless the deputy minister or ministers can respond. I would like to know whether we have confirmation. Can the minister confirm that required motivations and approvals were obtained for each extension of the acting arrangement beyond the 12 months that was allowed? And who actually approved that? Who granted those approvals? And that we need to see the documentation, the motivation. And does the minister accept that this long failure to appoint a permanent DG for this department has contributed to the failure of governance and oversight weaknesses repeatedly identified by the AG? Chair, that is a very important question. It comes to the heart of the problems that we have here. We need a DG that can drive this department, that can make progress, and that can look after the interests of our military veterans, but more than that, simply just to comply by the legislative obligations that's been put on the minister and on the DG. Second issue, Honourable Chair, in slide 9, the AG reported that there is a proposal of National Treasury to decentralize the DMV budget to functional departments and the reincorporation of the DMV administration into the Department of Defence as a chief directorate. But this now is also being indicated by the management as a reason for not filling critical vacancies. But this is a very difficult situation because it hampers any progress. So, Chair, I think we have to interrogate this proposal of National Treasury and then understand what's been happening. Has it been dismissed? Is it in consultation? Is it going to be taken further? Because it hampers progress. And it also, as reported by AG, management cited this proposal as one of the reasons for not filling critical vacancies. There need to be a decision on it. Even if it's been rejected, if it's going to be implemented, but what is the status of this proposal? Because it now also hampers the functioning of the department and harms the interests of our veterans. So I've already mentioned the material irregularities issue, and I really want to compliment AGSA to push material irregularities, and also it is also reassuring that some of the issues that we have been pointing out actually now sits under serious investigation. Obviously, there are consequences for the administration of the department with these actions of the SIU and the court case, because it consumes time that could have been used to improve the department now to prepare affidavits and responses that they are now compelled to do. But this is the way we have to go, because there are no other means. And Chair, we have to agree amongst ourselves that we as a committee have failed. We have failed in our obligation to look after the interests of veterans of South Africa, not because we didn't try, but because we couldn't. We didn't have the teeth to compel the minister and the department to comply with her and the department's obligations in terms of the legislation. Chair, bringing me back to the AG and to material irregularities. I'm of the opinion that what's happening to military veterans now is actually inflicting considerable and long-term harm on our veterans, and that's one of the criteria that the AG used for classifying an issue as a material irregularity. So I'm of the opinion that more of the things that's not happening in the department because of the harm that it causes to our military veterans should be declared a material irregularity, taking it then out of the control for consequences of the department and the minister, and taking it to investigation and to the courts. So, Chair, I would also then I will not use the same time as my colleagues. Also, out of respect of my colleagues, for some questions. The internal audit, the risk management function, and risk management committee are still problematic, not fully functional. I would like to know how we can proceed with handling audit findings and consequence management as when these very structures responsible for independently verifying risk controls and corrective actions are themselves not fully operational. And what is keeping this internal audit function to be fully operational? Does it go to accountability? Why outsiders? We have addressed that, Chair, and we have not received the answers. Chair, I will conclude with that. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Atem. Honorable Nontenja.
Thank you, Chairperson. Mine is on the audit outcomes. I would like to start with finding out, has the National Treasury formally proposed the decentralization of DMV functions and incorporation of DMV administration into the Department of Defense? And why has the department failed to establish a fully functioning internal audit unit and risk management committee, despite repeated AGSA findings? Why were investigations into irregular expenditure and fruitless and wasteful expenditure not conducted? Have any officials been suspended, dismissed, or referred for criminal investigation? Has any money been recovered from officials, contractors, or service providers associated with irregular expenditure? What cooperation is taking place with the SIU? Chairperson, I would like to know what specific leadership or executive capacity gaps have been addressed, and are these increases linked to filling critical vacancies like the DG senior management? And personnel costs increased significantly for 2025, 2026 to 2026-27 from 74 million to 92 million. What proportion of these funds is allocated to new hires versus salary adjustments? And how many critical posts will actually be filled? Have there been any new appointments since the start of this financial year? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nontenja. Honorable Hala.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, honorable members, Deputy Minister. Chair, let me join the chorus of supporting the establishment of this independent task team. But my other question, Chair, is with the 20,000 for burial support given to the families, it was reported that the official from TNV was paying 40,000. Now, I just want to check if this 40,000 was directly paid to the families, or he was sticking on the initial amount of paying families 20 and he takes the other 20. Lastly, Chair, I must state it clearly that I don't support the removal of General Mashwale. General Mashwale, up to date, is doing the sterling job on database. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Hala. Honorable Kubujeli.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Deputy Ministers, Honorable Members, Delegation, DMV, and the AG. Honorable Chair, I will not belabor on what Honorable Members have already deliberated on. Safe to say, I want to welcome what the General briefed us about, that is
the independent task team his submission. And I want to add on that and say I will also be making a supplementary to that proposal, which I will forward to the portfolio committee, specifically dealing with the DMV, because the structural failures and everything, I mean, all types of intervention have been tried over the years with DMV, but nothing seems to work. So I've got a proposal, a concept that I'm going to submit, which has to do with the transfer of the delivery functions from the DMV, so that it can be capacitated in order to try and, assist, because nothing will work. We will come back to this committee and we will deal with the same thing over and over again. Then, secondly, when it comes to the question of the court case, more especially where it deals with the database, I will propose that because the challenge is with former non-statutory forces, mostly on the database issue. I will propose that former non-statutory forces, because it was a challenge, former non-statutory forces be fully represented there, and in that committee that deals with the database. And at the same time, the appeal board, which I hope it does have military veterans in it, also be fully involved, because in order to meet that timeline, I'm telling you, we will be found to be in contempt of court, So that is all I'm going to say, Chair. I'm not going to say much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kukeli, Honorable Kwalikulu.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to the AGSA and the department for the presentation, as all members have just been sort of comfortable with. Chair, as members have just spoken on most of the things that I've jotted out, but I'm afraid I might be failing myself to express myself as well, although it will sound as a repetition of what other members have just been saying or raising. The issue of capturing of the database for military veterans, Chair, has been with this committee for the longest time, and it has not been finalized. This is a big question. When is that going to be finalized? Look at the issue of housing. Military veterans some have opted to occupy certain houses without authorization. Simply because of the anger and the challenge that they've been exposed to. This office has been lucky enough to work with Human Settlements Department, where Human Settlements had built houses for the military veterans, and they've been made to occupy those houses. But similarly, it has not come to a finality to say, out of the list that has been captured of the military veterans, they all have been allocated houses, remaining with the rest that has still to be to be captured. Chair, it's very, very dangerous to look at this issue of neglecting people who committed themselves to fight for the liberation of our society in our country, and by people who are sitting in offices with air conditions, living in comfortable environment in their houses, with their families not struggling, but still not showing commitment to speeding up the process of assisting those brothers and sisters who have been out there looking for the assistance from the side of the department. This department was created specifically to look into the challenges of the military veterans, but seemingly they do not have that commitment, I would say. The issue has been touched on, Chair, of the DG. The DG has been here. I think this is the third minister now who she is working under as acting DG. Maybe the main question, when is the department, the ministry, envisage appointing a permanent DG in the office, so that maybe things could be sort of fast-tracked, if I could say. The issue, Chair, of this portal machine and tablets, I think it needs to be intensively investigated, because my suspicion would be maybe these portal machines were purchased, and maybe some contractors are making use of them. Maybe they've been leased to some private contractors to make use of. I can't imagine the department purchasing these portal machines and just keeping them in the yard without having used. Otherwise, they will end up rusting, being dumped there where it might have been. It's been kept. Chair, the issue of this fruitless, wasteful expenditure has been with the department for the longest time, I would say as well. During the sixth parliament, there was an investigation with regards to these things, these reports, by the AGSA. And the investigations, I pointed out some individuals who were responsible for having not worked well in these matters. But I wonder whether they were, since they were identified, were they made to sort of
paid back the money that was identified to have been used irregular on these funds. The issue of keeping postponing or elasticizing the recovery of the funds allows those who are implicated and identified to end up taking their pensions and leaving the department without having been been followed and made to account. It is very important, Chair, according to my understanding, it's very important that if we are serious about making sure that we have a clean department, we sort of follow, implement whatever has been discovered in the department, so that we will then carry on with the new things that might be coming up, rather than looking back and saying this is coming up again, and in nothing was done about the previous matters or occurrences. That's what, Chair, I'd like to raise and stop there, because members have raised a lot of issues regarding the way the department is handling the issues of the military veterans. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Panikulu, Honorable Plakis.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, leaders. Chair, mine is just very simple. Colleagues have spoken about this matter. And I think, Honorable DM, you've made a proposal. As the executive, we don't want to encroach on your functions, so we'll leave it to you to engage with the minister and bring back that outcome to us on the investigation and the investigation task team. Chair, on what we have struggled to do as a committee and what Parliament have struggled to do to deal with the issue of database, I would just want to get it now. Is the judge anywhere done on a progress plan as the judgment have instructed us as department to do this in 90 days? Is there any movement on that matter? Is there a program plan? And then I will also join my colleague in the issue of that we need to find a problem action plan, Chair, for the audit findings, recommendation, implementation. That is my two
Recording
suggestions.
stopped.
Thank you very much, Honorable Plakis. Honorable Shelembe.
Good morning. Chair, I'm sorry, I'm not well out of flow. I was not, prepared to speak today. I wanted to listen more, but something is touching me when it comes to that issue of the military veterans. That department is a small department that is given the mandate to deliver the services to our men and women who fought and dedicated their lives to protect the Republic. But I want to check with the Acting Director General that the work to deal with the pension payout was given to JIPA. I want to check if they are aware that JIPA is not complying with the regulations, that they must respond to military veterans soon after receiving the application, and within 90 days they are supposed to make sure that they acknowledge a receipt of the application, so that military veterans cannot keep on asking us to say they have applied, they have written, no reply. I'm just checking now what is the relationship between JIPA and the DMV. DMV is responsible. If DMV now dealing with JIPA, how often do they follow up the progress to see that it's happening? Maybe Director General can tell us if there are any follow up on these pension payout delays. And Chair, also, if one look at the calling center, that issue of calling center being dysfunctional, I remember from 2019 we were talking about the calling center. And I can see now a very small department has established, many teams to help, like the presidential task team and also the new one that has been introduced. I just want to check, because that work given to them it comes with it's a funded mandate. They are getting paid every month. Every month they are getting paid. Why they are getting paid? It's because they must deliver. They must implement the act. But they are not doing it. What is the purpose of giving money to the officials whilst they don't do the work? So the last one, in our last visit at the DMV head office in headquarters in Pretoria, we observed the issue of leadership in instability, and also the issue of poor management. I want to know from the Director General or the acting or the Deputy Minister that since we left there, is there any improvement with regards to the working relationship between the management and the middle management as well as the lower staff? I'll appreciate maybe, because we can keep on talking here
Whereas on the other side, there is still leadership instability. I understand the issue of saying there are vacancies that has not been filled, which is, I mean, a disgrace and is annoying to the military veterans that the department had these critical positions from as early as 2017, and to date we are talking about that they are not able, I mean, to appoint, I mean, the staff to this senior position, and disappointingly, even, I mean, the minister, since she came in, I mean, she was aware that for this department to deliver, there must be a head. But to date, the minister has not done the appointment. And we're told the interviews are going on. So until when, I mean, this portfolio committee will be waiting for answers to the department. But answers are given to us and are not, I mean, in line with what is happening in the department. Excuse every day. Chair, maybe Deputy Minister or the Acting Director General will tell us, even the protocol, even if, I mean, there are queries, even if you write to the department, they don't even respond to those letters that we write to them. Even the minister, you know, they just keep quiet as if nothing's happening. I'm not well, but this thing make me sick more. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, honorable members. Thank you very much. I thought that I would have to make a ruling because I tried to listen to all the members, tried to listen to all the presentation. It is clear that from what we have, including what is before all of us, in terms of the court order, we're dealing with a state of emergency. Now, we are established in terms of Section 55 of the Constitution of the Republic to play oversight on the executive. Now, when we play oversight, we are called the legislature, which is one of the three arms of the state. Now, one arm of the state has made an order that within 90 days, the issue of the database and of benefits in terms of the Military Veterans Act should be complied with. So my first ruling on that matter, including on the oversight aspect that deals with us as the department, I'm not going to be arrested like Masemola or Isma Hashula for failure to play oversight. I now know through a court order that there needs to be a compliance. That the Secretariat within by at least latest next week Thursday, you must find time, even if it can be on Thursday, anytime in the morning or in the evening, to reschedule the same meeting where we'll get the process plan from the executive on how they are going to deal with the implementation, including the compliance of the court order. We said it in 2024, do roadshows, do this, we tried to advise the executive, and that was not done. Today, there's an order that compels us to do that work within 90 days. So we need a process plan, latest by next week, Thursday, before the end of business, through another scheduled meeting, a continuation meeting of this one, where we'll deal with this particular matter of the process plan to comply with the court order. It's a directive from us. We are also an equal arm of the state. We are the legislature established in terms of Section 55 of the Constitution of the Republic. 30 years of the Constitution, if you don't respect it, it's up to you. We are making it very clear. We're going to disown or be a friend of those in court so that it's known that we don't support and agree to the suffering and the pain that military veterans and all other veterans who deserve our benefits should go through. Whilst we are eating and leading a jacuzzi lifestyle, getting monthly salaries, medical aids and other benefits, and our volunteers are waiting in the streets, our military veterans, that thing must come to an end. We want the process plan. The second thing is that the Secretariat, we had a meeting with the Hawks, we had a meeting with the SAPS, we had a meeting with the Auditor-General of South Africa, we had a meeting with the SIU. We need to reconvene that meeting. Please find a date also within the next 90 days for us to convene with all those particular institutions of the state that deal with law enforcement, find out how far our cases of DMV, how far are the cases of DOD, so that we don't negotiate criminality. This is the defense force. We deal with national security. We must be the highest in terms of decorum, in terms of pedigree, in terms of standing, in respect and compliance of the discipline and the statute of the Republic of South Africa. We're not a some security company. We're a national defense force. So bring back those particular law enforcement agencies to this particular portfolio committee within 90 days so that we deal with this matter once and for all. We can't allow a banana republic, especially when we deal with national security, given the current global geopolitics. We can't be the weakest when we're supposed to be the first line of defense and the last line of defense in our country. We agree that we're calling a joint meeting also with the Department of Defense, the Department of Public Service and Administration, and the National Treasury to deal with the finalization of the organogram, and also the presidential task team, the ministerial task team that was assigned that particular responsibility. It's now 2 years that since they were assigned. Even a report when we dealt with this matter, we received it that the late deputy president started this process. The current deputy president continued it. But besides that, the minister also established their own team, which is supposed to finalize this thing particular matter. By next week, can we get a report on how far is this particular process so that we know whether we agree with the de-establishment of the Department of Military Veterans to allow it to be a chief directorate, or whether we continue with it, and what is the plan from the ministerial task team or the presidential task team the Deputy President's tasking related to that, or whether we continue with it as a directorate or we continue with it as a chief directorate. Can we get clarity on that particular point? That must also go with the finalization of the substantive appointment of the Director General. It's now 10 years out of the 15 years of the existence of this particular department that we have had acting Director Generals. I mean, that's very negligent, that's very clumsy from both the executive and ourselves as an oversight group to have allowed that situation for over 10 years. Can we, by next week Thursday, get to know what is the appointment of the substantive Director General, or whether we have a chief directorate, or we still retain a department? That must be clarified. Whether a Director General is headhunted or whatever, find action in law to get us a substantive Director General, because we can't be repeatedly told by the Auditor General that it's because of there's no senior management, no filling of vacancies. So we must be clear about that particular matter related to this. All other matters reported of Nexus, of pothole machines and everything, it's clear that there's criminality here. We're not going to negotiate criminality. Let those who are held responsible either go through a process of the law. We will not even establish a commission of inquiry or an ad hoc committee. Criminality is criminality, it can't be negotiated. It's even worse in my case. My party is losing elections because it being synonymous with crime. A whole party that was found by the most brilliant people, led by people, a student like Oliver Tambo, today is synonymous with crime. I will not agree. It's not a cause that some of us went to jail for as teenagers. I will not agree. To hell with these criminals, and can they account on their own? I'm not going to be sympathetic to them. Can they end up in jail? It's not our business. We're not going to deal with this particular matter on its own. The issue related to General Mashwala, the database, it's part of the report we need to get next week so that we know where we stand with the database. We know the process plan to finalize the database and allocation of all benefits to comply with the court order. But it's just so unfortunate and clumsy that we have to be directed by a court of law to do our work when we have job descriptions, when we earn salaries, when we get benefits for doing that particular work. But now we're even being compelled by court. It's quite embarrassing. But can the Secretariat find time by next week, Thursday, either in the morning or in the afternoon, that we repeat this particular meeting with all these particular programs? We want written replies. I'm not going to allow the department to reply now verbally. We want written, because some of these things here, we need mainly the process plan that would answer to the compliance and implementation of the court order, because I'm not going to be another Ishma Khashulo or General Masemula arrested for failure to implement oversight, because that's very dangerous, both for the executive and for us as the legislature. There's precedents in law. I would not want to be a victim because I failed or I mimicked or I suffered from decidophobia, fear of taking decisions when I had authority as the chair of this portfolio committee. Finish and clear, we're going to end it up like that. What I would request is that the Secretariat next week Thursday in the morning or in the evening find time so that we have this meeting, we get written replies. What I will do now is to allow the executive through the deputies to say something as part of way forward before we deal with the next item. Over to you, Deputy Ministers.
Thank you, Chairperson and honorable members. I would like to ask my colleague if he wants to respond to some of the issues raised, because he is more or less seized with the situation of veterans on a daily basis. Over to you, sir. Mr. Mkongi. Oops.
Okay. Thank you, Chairperson. All I can say, Chairperson, is that there is a judgment against the department. Obviously, we will have to comply with the judgment. There is no other way. We have to implement the judgment. Of course, we have to quickly remedy the crisis that we face with regard to finalization of the military veterans issue. There is a process to deal with organogram with the absence of legal officer in particular.
Oversight.
Honorable members, could we stop interjecting the meeting? You can proceed, Honorable Dear.
Of course, with regard to the process of organogram, Chair, there is intervention. I've also asked the Minister of Evaluation, Monitoring, and blah 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 to be part of a meeting of the transversal team, DPSA, because her work also involved those processes. We will have to quickly finalize this because it has been long and continuously a problem even before for us. But we have a responsibility to make sure these things come. We are always embarrassed when we come back and what we are supposed to do has not been done because of processes that we have to take. Of course, we will have to make sure that action plan is implemented, no doubt about it, and a detailed explanation back to the portfolio committee. We have to make sure we prepare a report. Also, consequence management. We will monitor it very closely because on those we play an oversight role. So anywhere, Chairperson, we can't have a good department without the top management. Currently, we have three very important departments that have no leaders. That includes the audit committee. We don't have the chair of the audit committee, and that is a serious challenge that we have to correct. Well, the task team suggested by my colleague, we will discuss it because I understand it to be inclusive of defense and military veterans. Otherwise, Chairperson, I can't talk everything when there are serious issues and challenges that are facing us. All we have to do is to make sure that we correct the wrongs, we correct previous mistakes, etc. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Chairperson. My comment will be a brief one. It's just to say thank you for agreeing to discuss the proposals I've tabled. When you read that report, you will find that the issue here is whether oversight, as currently exercised, is producing any meaningful correction in a department where the same AGSA findings and qualifications, or rather audit qualifications and governance failures recur year after year. Finally, Parliament's mandate is not passive observation. It is an active accountability within the constitutional framework. Parliament's work is also not to be pseudo members of the executive. The committee is empowered to summon, demand documentation, conduct inquiries, and test whether corrective action is actually implemented. Exercising those powers is not an overreach into the executive. It is precisely what distinguishes oversight from administrative management. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable DM. Let me take this opportunity to request the Secretariat to prepare a letter that goes to the executive requesting all this information that we have requested from them, including writing to all bodies which are here to attend and invite them to the special meeting that we'll hold latest by next week, Thursday, to deal with written replies from issues that we have raised today, because it's critical now. We are being exposed. We are all vulnerable because Court of Laws have found us to be incompetent, to be wanting, and we're being given 90 days to do our work that we are paid for, that we wake up for every day saying we are going to work, and yet we are failing the military veterans. That honeymoon must be very clear. It's over, because in my case it was, I'm losing elections, I'm losing votes. More than 80% of members of this committee are veterans who were originally with me, but today, because of some incompetencies, they are in other parties. I don't complain, but I'm just saying, as part of how these things affect us adversely. So we would request that the Secretary do that. But I would like to thank, on behalf of the Portfolio Committee, the team from the Auditor-General's office. Send our regards to the Auditor-General and say thank you. Your support is appreciated, but we are, as the Portfolio Committee, still committed that we will support you in whatever you raised as a Chapter 9 institutions, because failure of us to pay oversight would be a dereliction of duty, but would also be a disrespect to our oath of office, and it would also be a betrayal the cause of our nation for the oath that we have taken to defend them, to protect the Republic, to uphold the Constitution and all international laws. We will be failing in that particular responsibility as the Portfolio Committee. So we are going to ensure that we support you as the Auditor-General of South Africa. We also want to put it to the department, is that we are not angry with you, but please be careful. Your incompetence and your failure can make us possible suspects to be arrested for failure to play oversight. As a matter of fact, there's a case law involving the former Premier of Free State, Honorable Ace Magashule, and now involving of lately the Honorable Commissioner of the Police. Honorable Olomisa, please, can the executive stop encroaching on the legislative meeting? Yeah, that's the point that I wanted to bring of this particular case law. Now, we know as the Portfolio Committee that there's a court order that compels us to comply, to develop a process plan of how we deal with the reply of those things. If we're not going to hold you accountable and play oversight on you as the executive, we're going to be an accomplice to your wrongdoing and as administration, and we're not going to allow that. So let me thank you as the administration. Go and do your work. We're not angry with you. It's only that we want you to comply with your job descriptions. All teams, whether presidential task team, ministerial task teams, all those teams, can you go and ensure that you bring us a plan latest by next week Thursday, which will tell us of the process going forward, what is going to happen, whether we remain a department or whether we become a chief directorate of the DOD. We need to be clear now as a Portfolio Committee. We have been saying these things for 2 years now, on the 10th of July this year, will be 2 years in office as this portfolio committee. We are not going to allow you the 10th of July to pass without concrete way forward, because we would have failed in our fair affairs in the first 2 years. If we can't hold you accountable for things we failed for the past 10 years, and those things are now seen by the court of law, we've been ordered to complete a database which we failed to complete for the past 15 years in 90 days, and we have to comply. Now, should everything in this department go to court for court orders to be implemented, or do we know our job, or are we confused, or are we generally incompetent? It's not going to be allowed, comrades. Many have died for us to be where we are. Many have sacrificed, and many are still displaced. So as every sacrifice that has been taken by many, it cannot be taken for granted. Let me thank you and all of you for this meeting.
Honourable Chair, my apologies. I don't want to prolong the meeting. I just want to express the appreciation of the economic freedom fighters for the very decisive intervention that you've made and the progressive proposals. You've got our 100% full support for this program you've outlined. Thank you.
No, thank you very much, Honourable Nyaus. I think, Honourable Members, it's now 1:15. We can deal with the minutes. We can allow the administration, the AGSA and executive to relieve themselves from the meeting. Then we remain to deal with the consideration of minutes. Let me thank you, all of you. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the day. Over to you, Secretariat, on the minutes.
Chair, before Amanda comes in with the minutes, can I make an administrative proposal on the next meeting?
No problem. Before everybody leaves, can we get an administrative proposal from my advisor?
Thank you, Chair. I'm just looking at quickly looking at Parliament's program and our programs going ahead. You said to look at next week Thursday for a potential meeting. However, there's a caucus meetings in the morning, and the afternoon there's a physical sitting in the dome till quite late. So next week Thursday might be problematic to have a meeting. So I want to make two proposals which members can consider. The first one is that we still get the department to do written submissions by next week Thursday, and then we either schedule a meeting, a virtual meeting, the following week on the Wednesday, even though that is now a constituency period for the National Assembly, but we can apply for a special meeting on that Wednesday. That would be the 17th. Alternatively, members we are seeing the Department of Military Veterans on the 24th, where they will do a quarterly report. So we can also incorporate this agenda item into the 24th. So just to summarize, I think next week Thursday will be problematic, Chair. So I'm suggesting either we do a special application for the 17th or we incorporate the agenda item to the meeting of the 24th.
Look, let's do a special application for the 17th because the process plan has less than 90 days now to be adopted at the level of the executive. So we must have that process plan so that we are not held in contempt of the court order, because we now know as an oversight committee that there is such an order of the court, and it was public. It's in every spaces. It's even in our group as this portfolio committee. So it's not something we can play around with, because I stand to be arrested as the chairperson for failure to play my oversight. So can we make that application? If the application fails, then we'll look at it 24th.
Okay, Chair. We'll do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right, Honourable.
I request that the Secretariat follow up on these answers. We don't get answers from this department. And if they receive them, they have to share with us.
Okay. Thank you. That's a fair request. I think, Secretariat, you are aware of the request from member. Can we deal with the minutes quickly?
Sorry, Chair. There are about 5 sets of minutes that needs to be adopted.
Okay, no problem. Let's quickly run through them.
Okay.
Which date is this one? I don't have my printout or 15, 19 March, 18 March. Okay.
Correct, Chair.
All right, can we go through the first page, second page, the third page, the fourth page, the fifth page? Members would recall here we're dealing with the bills in those areas. Any matters arising from page 1 to the last page? In the absence of no matters arising, can we get a mover and a seconder for the adoption of the minutes?
I move, Chair. Okay, you've got both of us.
All right. Okay, there's a mover and a seconder. You have noted them, Secretariat. Secretariat, have you noted the mover and the seconder? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Chair. Yes, Chair, I have.
All right, thank you. Can we move to the second set? That is the second set of minutes. Can we move page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4? Can we move? Page 5, page 6?
That's all, Chair.
Thank you. Can we, any matters arising from the minutes, honourable members? In the absence of any matters arising, can we get a mover and a seconder for the adoption?
So I move, Chair.
Honourable Ala moves, so the seconder. Can we get a seconder?
Okay, I second, Chair.
Honourable Neo seconded. Can we get the first set of minutes? Which date was it? It was the 21st of April. Can we move through all the pages for members to reflect? Any matters arising? In the absence of any matters arising, can we get a mover and a seconder for adoption of the minutes?
The Kulu moves for the adoption, Chair.
Seconded, Chair.
Thank you very much. Can we get the fourth set of the minutes? That was for the 6th of May. It was at the Castle of Good Hope. That's page 1. Can we move through all those pages? Yes, page 2, 3. Yes, thank you. Any matters of Good Hope? Honorable members, in the absence of no matters arising, can we get a mover and a seconder for this set of meeting?
I move, Chair.
Honorable Nantonja moves.
Supports, Chair.
Cool supports. Can we get the next set? I'm sure it's a set when I was sick.
And I wasn't even there myself too.
Yeah, so which date was this one? Let me check. The 15th of May. I would request that the acting chair of the day takes over because I don't think it will be correct for me when I make an apology to chair this minutes. Honorable Munyai?
Chair, just for clarity, the 15th of May, you were present. It was the meeting of last week that you were not present, where Mr. Munyai was the chair.
Oh, okay. Oh, the 15th. Okay. Oh, no, I see. I was present. Let's go through the first page. My apologies. I thought it was last week. I forgot now we're in June. First page, second page, third page, fourth page. Thank you. Any matters arising from the minutes, honorable members? Over to you as the legislative authority of the Portfolio Committee for Defense and Military Veterans. In the absence of any matters arising, can we get a mover and a seconder for the minutes?
I move, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable.
Second, Chair.
Seconded. Is there any other set? Secretariat, do we still have any other set?
That's all for today, Chair.
Hello? Secretariat, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, Chair. That's the only minutes we have for today.
Thank you very much.
Can you hear me, Chair?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the support staff. Thank you very much to all the honorable members. The meeting stands adjourned until we meet at 2 o'clock to listen to the President's reply. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you, Chair. Have a good day.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, General Chair.